Hello, family, and welcome to No Coincidences again this week. I am Cristina, all witchy on all platforms, and I am so excited to have all of you beautiful faces in the house tonight sharing space with us. I want to introduce all of you to a very beautiful soul who has an intriguing story. Today, we're going to hang out with Sev Tok. She is an author, an experiencer, a radio host, a UFOologist, a spiritual counselor, an experiencer advocate. This woman, she has an amazing resume of things that she does. She is one of these people that's out here truly helping to change the collective and raise the vibrations of this world. In 2017, she had a life altering event where she came face to face with Greys who burned 2 red X marks into her back. She's had experiences since she was 10 years old, but she's kept it to herself until shortly after that experience happened and she started talking about it in 2018. You can find Sev on places like History Channel's Ancient Aliens, and the proof is out there. Gaia TV's Beyond Belief with Greg Norrie, ABC TV's Nightline X, and she is featured in the Canadian TV docuseries Encounter UFO Physical Contact on TNE TV. The newest project for Sev is hosting her radio show Alien Spirit with Sev on KGRA Broadcasting and on her YouTube channel, which is Alien Spirit with Sev. As an experiencer advocate, Sev provides personal guidance to experiencers. You can visit her on planetsev.com. And also, she conducts the soul purpose sessions for clients around the world, helping them advocate their life's purpose while redesigning their aurific field and strengthening manifestation skills. So, without further ado, I really am so excited to introduce this beautiful family to Sev. Welcome, Sev, to No Coincidences.
Hello, Cristina. Hi, everybody who's watching and listening. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so much. You are actually the first experiencer that I'm getting to hold space with, and I'm so excited about it, right? Because in my home, my dad, he's like, please tell the aliens to come pick me up and take me with them. And I'm really trying to help him through his spiritual journey right now to understand. I mean, he knows things are out there, but there are things that we have to learn on our own, right?
Yes.
The first thing that I really wanted to hit on is when you had your encounter in 2017, it says that they burnt these marks on you, and I'm going to bring them up. I'm going to show them. Do you remember that experience? And if so, can you tell us about it?
I remember the second X being put on my back. The first X, I don't remember the Greys taking me. It's just that my partner at the time happened to see the mark. And I just intuitively knew it was the Greys. It's just something I knew. So the first X was on my left cheek of my tush. It was about an inch and a half to 2 inches wide. And it's not there anymore. It went away.
Oh,
And then
wow.
the second X,
Mhm.
which was then on my other cheek, right directly across from it.
Right.
Just the same as this one. That one, I had a cautious memory of being on this hospital type bed.
Mhm.
and I couldn't move my arms and I couldn't move my legs.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was lying on my side. And I was in a room that I did not recognize, and it was dimly lit. I
Hmm.
just saw one small piece of furniture, and I felt paralyzed. But I could sense that there was something behind me, and I could turn my neck. So when I turned my neck, right here, just inches from my back, was a gray
Mhm.
doing something to my back. And I
Right.
drew a picture of him in my book.
Okay, actually, I think I got that one here. I'm gonna pull it up. We got the
Thank you.
yeah.
And, we locked eyes, and we just stared at each other for a few seconds, and in my book, I describe it like looking into 2 pools of black oil, and I was very afraid. I was terrified. I had been in contact with the Greys before,
Mhm.
and there was always telepathic communication, but this time there was nothing, and that actually scared me even more.
So this is one of the pictures you sent to me.
Oh, that's when I saw the baby in a tube.
Okay.
And those have 3 grades, tall, medium, and short, and this was, several years prior to
Oh,
the
okay.
tip I'm explaining now, yeah. So,
Okay.
here, I do have the picture of that gray.
Oh, okay. Yeah, here.
Yeah,
We'll put that one up here.
and, uh,
There we
when
go.
I when I came to in my bedroom,
Mhm.
after the 2nd time and I had this download of a memory, I went downstairs. I waited for my ex to, get out of bed. He always got up before I did, always, but this time he didn't. So I waited for him downstairs, and I was very afraid because the first ex really threw me off, and I
Right.
was very afraid. And this is back when I was really afraid of the Greys. This is
Mhm.
back when I thought the Greys were evil, and I thought they were messing with me, and they were doing it all on purpose. And I no longer feel like that. But that's because I've had a shift in perspective, and so
Right.
I was I had a filter of victimization. I
Mm.
filtered everything I experienced through me being the ultimate victim.
Right.
And so it's actually the Greys who I was afraid of that helped me become empowered and shift out of that victimization energy to see that they were helping me the whole time. They were not
Right.
victimizing me. But I had to shift my perspective first. And this
Right.
is what I help experiencers do. I'm an experiencer advocate, and I help experiencers around the world. And you can contact me on my website or email me, sev@planetsev.com. My website is planetsev.com, and I will get back in touch with you and I'll help you. It's important when you're an experiencer because we're really shamed and bullied. Maybe not as much as we used to be, but it's still there. Because it's really hard for me to find an experiencer who wants to come out and do an interview.
Right.
It's still
Because
hard.
it's taboo, right? I mean, that's the way
Well,
society makes it be.
yeah, because 'cause they're afraid they're gonna lose their job or they're gonna lose their relationship, or there's so many fears, and they're justified. They're
Right.
just
And you also have within our society that, oh, is it a mental illness? Are you just seeing things? Are you imagining things? Are you trying to make a dream seem like it's more than what it was? So you're
mhm,
right. People, I mean, it's just like in the mental health industry, people are afraid to come forward because they're afraid to lose things in their life.
mhm, right, and so there's a shift right now in trying to understand what ET contact is. We used to have
Oh, I think her internet froze up for just a second. Let me check and see if it's on my end. Looks like everything is working right here on my end. Hoping her internet will come back in just a second. But for the family, while we're waiting, I don't know if y'all can hear me or if it's her. I'm trying to find out. So if I can get some comments letting me know, um, that way we can fix it. Hi, Lori. I see you over there. I just saw your comment come up. I'm hoping that y'all can hear me right now. Um, Also, I see Lisa, Mary, Elevated Souls, Little Twisted. I know we've got everybody over there. All right. So she's going to pop back in here in just a second. Um, For those of y'all, I know you caught her just saying it. She's got planetsev.com. If you go on there, she's got some really amazing things on there that, like, uh, courses and things that you can go through. And she talks about her story. And I mean, this woman, she's been through a lot. Like I said at the beginning, she started experiencing when she was 10 years old. She actually originally was born in Istanbul in Turkey, and she migrated to the United States as a little girl. She didn't even know English when she started her journey here in the United States. And from that, she went on and she's become this amazing person. She's got a bachelor's in science degree in biology from Loyola University. She has all of her experiences that she talks about. And then she, of course, we've just been talking about her having the marks. She also writes books, which I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull an image of her book up here real quick. Um, let's see, book cover right here. And so this is her book, You Have the Right to Talk to Aliens. And I haven't gotten a chance to read this one yet, but this is from the description that I've gotten of it. It talks about how, as an experiencer, exactly what we were just talking about before she got disconnected, you shouldn't feel ashamed to talk about any experience, whether it be with aliens or personal experience in life. Like, we have to talk through those things, right? In order to grow through them. And I know we talk about that so much here on this show about growing through our pain, our grief, our positive things that happen. So this is exactly the path that she's taking as well, only she's talking to people who have experienced the abductions, and there are so many of them. And you guys, I'm not going to lie. I kind of wonder if this got cut the way that it did for her because they don't like her talking about things. Okay. But if y'all want to find out more for some reason, okay, there she is. She's able to come back on. I just got your message. You said your electricity went off. See, and I was just telling them, I was like, look, this is their way of trying to get us to not talk.
It's the weirdest thing. It just went off literally for 1 second.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad it was only for 1 second and you were able to come back. I was just telling them about your book while I was waiting for you. So if you want to talk about that a little bit, and we'll go back to our conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, this book was my coming out. I wrote it in 2017. And the night before, I went to sleep one night. No, I'll put it to you this way. I woke up one morning and all of a sudden I declared I'm writing a book and I'm going to call it You Have the Right to Talk to Aliens. But when I went to bed the night before, I had no desire to write a book because I was still in hiding. I didn't want to come out. I was afraid to come out. I
Right.
didn't want my clients to know I was talking to aliens. And so I had no intention of writing a book. I don't know what happened that night, but when I woke up, I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I sat down and I did it. And I wrote it pretty quickly. And I'm so honored that Kathleen Martin endorsed it. And it's the story of some of my experiences and how denying a very important part of your life and your reality, how negatively it affects you, and
Mm-hmm.
how beautifully you can change your life when you just face the things that you're scared of the most. And for me, the scariest thing in my life was facing the grays
Right.
because I was on this path of authenticity and
Yeah.
they were on my path. I had to face them in order for me to, as I call it, live my life as authentically as I possibly can, which is important for me.
Yes, I love that. I'm on the same journey as you with that. We were talking about how you help experiencers understand that it's okay to talk about it, that it's not taboo. So, do we want to continue on that
Oh,
little
yes.
journey?
Thank
Okay.
you. Mhm.
Yeah.
I do encourage experiencers to talk about it to somebody like me. There's others that also do this work because we're non-judgmental. We've heard a lot. We can validate your experiences for you, make you realize you're not the only one in the world that this is happening to, which can be very healing and helping. And we can also help you process and understand. And hopefully, if you're willing, if you have a negative perspective, hopefully maybe shift it a little bit
Mhm.
way so you can see how you can benefit from these remarkable, remarkable events. They really are remarkable. Here we are talking to a being from another planet, another star system, or just another non-human being. And we have to hide it, and we have to be
Right.
embarrassed by it. And they're also giving us knowledge,
Yeah.
and we're afraid to share it. And so that's why I do what I do. That's why you do what you do, so we can get rid of that shame, because we shouldn't be embarrassed. We should
Right.
be able to freely share with the world what we've experienced. It has
Exactly.
changed. The climate has changed since I first wrote the book 7 years ago. The climate has
Mhm.
changed a lot, but we still have a long way to go.
Yes, we do. And you mentioned that you were fearful of them. And so, did you find it difficult to trust others with your actual experience once you accepted that there wasn't a reason to be fearful? I mean, like within your family, or what took you on that journey of understanding that you could trust people with this?
Oh, well, it was Kathleen Martin, because I reached out to her. And I didn't know who she was. I heard it in my head to go to and Google MUFON, and I didn't even know what MUFON was. And I saw her and I reached out to her. She was a huge help. She validated my experiences, and she's my mentor, and she's a dear friend. And it was her just validating that there are other people that this has happened to. I believe everything you're saying. There's nothing crazy about this. I did ask her in that conversation that we had. She was so generous with her time. I told her, this was back in 2018 or 17, 16. I said, Kathy, I'm really afraid of the government, because all the men in black
Mhm.
knock on your door, tap your phones, harass you. I'm afraid of that.
Yeah.
And she said, well, it's true. It does happen. It doesn't happen as much as it used to, but it does happen.
Right.
I'm like, okay, great. So after I got off the conversation, I didn't know what I was going to do, because I had said to her, I'm getting all this information from the ETs about the hybridization program and other things. And
Mhm.
I also see myself in my mind's eye talking on stage. And at the time, that was insane, because I was still in hiding. There was no way I was going to go on stage.
Right.
And I said, what am I supposed to do? And Kathy said, oh, you have to figure that out, Sev. I can't tell you what to do. So after our conversation, I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to let it organically develop. I called my mom right after I got off the phone with Kathy. I was only talking to my mom for a couple of minutes. It was a landline, and the line
Mhm.
went dead. And I was like, oh, shit, the government knows who I am. I just talked to Kathleen Martin, and now I'm marked. And so I called my ex. I'm like, did we pay the bill? He goes, of course we pay the bill. It's the landline went dead, never went dead before, never went dead again. It was gone for about 10 minutes and came back on. And then that very night, I had my first MILAB experience,
Mm.
military abduction.
Yeah. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Military abductions, many experiencers have them. Are you familiar with them?
I know a little bit about them. I'm pretty sure some people in my audience know more than I do, because a lot of them are more into that, the UFO and the abduction and that side of things. But I was in the military, so I've heard
Oh,
s- things. But I want to hear you about it.
what do you mean you were in the military and you heard things? Can you validate MILAB?
I cannot.
Okay.
I cannot.
So MILAB stands for military abductions. I believe these are debriefings
Mhm.
by our government or some organization. I don't even know. And I have everything I talk about are conscious memories of mine. I
Right.
have had regression, but I tend not to talk about those experiences. I like to talk about my conscious memories. Um, I'm not dissing hypnosis at all. It can
Right.
be extremely helpful, and it works. But
Especially for people that are trying to accept the things that their conscious doesn't want them to know yet, right? As far as hypnosis.
yeah, it kind of like helps bridge the gap.
Right.
If you're ready and you're ready to go there, you can bridge the gap.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're not ready, don't do it yet, guys. I'm just putting that
Oh,
disclaimer out there.
no.
If you're not ready for the flood that is going to come,
Yeah,
don't do it. But it is great if you're ready to
right.
understand your experiences.
Yes. Mhm. And what was I saying? Millap.
But yeah.
So, I have never heard of a good Millab experience. I never heard anyone go, "Yay, that was terrific. I wanna go back." They're either neutral or they're absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I've not heard
And
of a
I've
good one
had
either.
both. Yeah, I've had both. I've had one that's very, very hard for me to talk about. There was, mental emotional torture.
Mm.
And so my first MILAB experience was when I talked to Kathy that night, and I found myself in this office-like room. We were under the ground because I saw these stairs going down, and I'm
Mhm.
always with these young, like in their 30s, men with really short haircut and like drab-colored clothing, and everyone looks the same, and everyone's neutral. No one's nice, no one's mean, just totally neutral. And, I was standing in front of this huge poster. I drew pictures of it, and he's standing beside me, as they're always doing, asking me questions, and I'm looking at this poster. I have a, biology degree from Loyola, and, there were scientific, equations and things on this poster, and it was the flight path of a UFO. And we're looking at it, and the guy next to me asks me, when does the spaceship attain its K point? And then that's all I remember. Then I'm like, ding, I'm back in my bedroom.
Wow.
And I didn't remember studying K point, and I looked it up, and it's a real thing. And
Mhm.
I did hear the K point mentioned in the Winter Olympics, where there was the ski jump, and the
Mhm.
announcer was talking about when the skier was going to hit the K point.
Right.
And I also reached out to Grant Cameron, who's a very well-known Canadian ufologist, and I told him about this experience. And he told me about an experiencer, a lady who was taken by the Greys, and they were teaching her about the K point.
Right.
And so that was the first one. So it's a debriefing. They want to know the
Mhm.
information that we're getting because from all the studies and the experiencers I've talked to, over these past several years, I've come to the conclusion that right now, there are 5 basic categories of information that the ETs are giving us. They're giving us information about how to strengthen our psychic abilities. They're giving us information about the hybridization program. They're giving us information about scientific innovation, also the potential future fate of humankind. And they're also giving us information about spiritual empowerment and how to become um, more autonomous and to use the quantum abilities that we have. We call them psychic abilities to enhance the human experience.
Right. I love that. So I'm going to tell you I have a couple of questions from my family
Good.
over here.
Thank you.
So Lori Sue, this one, she's always got uh,
Lori
so much
Sue.
knowledge. She says it's my understanding that hers and everyone else's experience with other life forms were agreed upon prior to incarnation. I wonder if your guest feels this way. And I'm pretty sure Lori, based on our past conversations, is talking about your soul contract, right? You signed a soul contract to go through this experience. How do you feel about that?
Mhm. Thank you, Lori Sue. That's a good question. I do believe that there is a lineage through the family, the 3D family, and the 3D plus family. I do believe that we all have ET DNA. Some
Mhm.
of us have more than others. Some of us have activated more than others. As far as a soul contract goes, the word contract, I don't feel very comfortable with. If it is a contract, I believe we can like break it and negate it at any time.
Right.
Uh, I do believe that we do tend to travel with a soul family.
Mhm.
And so, yes, there is a lineage. Yes, there is some kind of understanding as we pick and choose the different consciousnesses that we want. I
Yeah.
believe that.
I love that answer. She also said, I communicate with
Yes.
Octurians, as odd as that might sound.
I don't think we can
Octurians
all.
present quite differently than the Greys, as their energy and purposes are somewhat different throughout the universe.
Yes,
I
that's very
love that, Lori. I would love for you to share that experience with our family.
I had an experience one afternoon. I would like to hear it too. I
Yeah.
had an experience one afternoon in the middle of the day where these 2 blue light beings walked right into the living room, and I'm, like, blinking like this because I can't believe they're there, and, they start to engage me, and, I do believe they're Arcturians. I call them the blue beings. They're very blue. They're absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't draw them because they're just undulating, like kaleidoscope beams of light. I mean, they're
Mhm.
just absolutely gorgeous. And uh, the first thing they did was just radiate so much love. It was more love than I even felt from my mother. Like it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then the first thing they said was, when you look into our eyes, you look into yours. And then I was like, oh. And then they started giving me information about DNA activation and Tesla and Disney and Tchaikovsky. And I
That's
still connect with them.
Oh
Mhm.
my gosh. I'm like getting confirmation goosebumps as you're telling me
Oh, you
this.
are? Oh, that's so
Yes.
good.
I love that. And
And
I
these,
love that they said that when you look into our eyes, you're looking into your own because, it's beautiful to know that you're seeing a reflection of what you already know.
yeah, it's a beautiful way to say hello.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that so much.
And they told me that Tesla and Disney and Tchaikovsky were in communication with them.
Mhm.
They were channelers. And that and these were 3 of my favorite men ever since I was a little girl, because Fantasia is my favorite movie ever since I was little, and Tchaikovsky has always been my favorite composer. And they told me that Disney and Tesla met, and that these 3 men knew a lot more than they let on, and, it is not by accident that Fantasia is filled with Tchaikovsky music. Disney knew what he was doing, and
Mhm.
they told me that Fantasia is actually a DNA activator, and that when you listen to Tchaikovsky music, it is a DNA activator.
I would believe
And
that.
and Disney knew that. So, it's not just a cartoon, it is a DNA
Yeah.
activator, and by that, I mean it raises your frequency, it bounces you up to a much higher frequency. When you're in that higher frequency, you're able to connect with your higher frequency abilities and qualities, your higher frequency DNA, and,
Mhm.
when you do that, it also helps you consciously and through your heart connect with your purpose for being.
Right. I love that so much. Kevin, I see your question. I'm going to come back to you, friend. Please don't think I'm skipping over you, but I'm going to move over here to Richard's question real quick. Richard says, how are they doing that? And I know he's talking about the military. So I want to just
Oh,
put this out there real quick.
yeah.
Nothing's confirmed, but the experiencers of that I have talked to, um, they all tell me that it's kind of like a MIB type situation. Is it people come in, they take them, they go and ask them questions. It's very, we'll call it nerve wracking. And then nothing. So we don't have an answer because we can't confirm it.
Well, exactly, and let's make it even more complicated. Is it happening in the physical level and in the conscious level? Are they able to get into our minds?
Right.
I wonder, I wouldn't be surprised because, of all the remote viewing and everything our government's been engaged with, that it's
Yeah.
very possible maybe they can get into our minds and play with us in there.
So I'm going to give my family and my audience a little teaser of next week's show. She just mentioned controlled remote viewing. And yes, our government does use controlled remote viewers,
Mhm.
as do many other governments. And my show that is airing next week has a very well known controlled remote viewer that is going to be talking about things.
I would like to see that. I did
Yeah.
have an interesting experience with a astral Men in Black. Some people call him, the Hat Man. I call him Men
Hmm.
in Black. It was astral, and it appeared in my bedroom, and it was attached to a friend who was visiting me. At the time, I did not get the connection.
Right.
Uh, and she was visiting me for the first time, and we went to sleep. She was in the guest room, and she woke up in the middle of the night, and she came into my room and woke me up, and she was getting into my bed. And I said, "What's the matter?" And she said, "I'm scared." And I said, "Okay." And she's a very spiritual person, uh, and a spiritual teacher. And the next thing I know, I feel something at the foot of my bed, and I turn around, and there is this astral man in black, really tall, with the hat, the suit, and it's darker than the blackness of the room. And this is the middle of the night.
Right.
As soon as I see it, an energy comes out of it into my chest, grabs me, felt like an octopus, and it felt like it was trying to pull my essence out of me, like it was trying to take me out of me. And we had this, what I call energetic battle. And I knew enough that I was in control. That's why I like to tell this story, is to remind people you are in control. Like, he does not
Right.
have to win. And so I told him, you have to go, and it would not go. So I literally, Christina, I felt like I was in this energetic battle fighting for my life because I felt
Yeah.
like he wanted me. It finally went away, and I
Hmm.
fell back to sleep. So, get up in the morning, and my friend comes downstairs, and I said, "Did anything strange happen to you last night?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "Oh, okay. Me too. You go first." She said, "Well, I was in your guest room, and there was a window in there overlooking the water, and, I hear this voice to tell me go look out the window, and I look up, and there's a hologram of Jesus Christ in the sky. And I hear this voice telling me, we can do that, you know. We can put a hologram of anything in the sky and fool you." At the same time, I'm seeing this astral men in black in my bedroom. I know they're connected.
Yeah.
And then I told her, "Well, remember you came into my room because you were afraid?" She goes, "I didn't do that." I go, "Yeah, you did. You came into my room. I mean, I was awake. I was like sitting up in bed." And she goes, "No, no, I never came into your room." I was like, "Oh my god, this is getting weirder by the minute." So, we just stopped talking about it. We really didn't talk about it again. I realized later that Men in Black thing was attached to her because, unfortunately, the whole QAnon, Hillary eating babies, Pizzagate and all that had just started, and she got
Right.
wrapped up in it, and that's a really negative vibe,
Yes.
really negative. So the negativity attaches.
Yes. And look, I'm going to tell you right now, as you were telling me that, like, I got confirmation goosebumps so bad the hair on my head started raising. Okay.
Oh
And the
my god.
first the first thing that came through my mind when you said that she saw Jesus Christ and you saw the men in black, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, the different vibration frequencies." And I'm not saying that anyone that believes in Jesus is on the lower. I'm just saying that yours is on that of something in the astral realm, where hers is on that based on something that is still earthly based. And the fact that y'all saw those two things at the same time and you both went through an experience with the same whatever being it was, and they were able to project themselves how you two needed to see them because of the frequencies that y'all were on.
Yes. Yes. Also, I wonder, did the government project that Men in Black into my room? Because they can do that. And
Right?
that at the same time, the government was giving her information about a false flag potential
Mm,
because we can create any hologram in the sky also screams false flag, alien
right.
invasion. Yeah. So I think it's a combination of all of that.
Yeah. Look, little twisted, Lena. I love you, sister. She said I thought the same exact thing Christina did.
Yeah.
um, let me come back up here to Kevin's question. He said, "Do you have flashbacks to the parts that you don't remember?"
I have flashback. Yes, I have flashbacks. I do. I really believe that everything has an energy to it. Memories, events, situations, thoughts, ideas, everything has an energy to it. And when our personal frequency and vibration matches the energy of that memory or matches the energy of that knowledge, then we know it. We call it an aha moment. But it's been
Right.
in there the whole time. We just weren't energetically aligned with the frequency of that information. And then ding, we're aligned and we know it. I believe the same thing happens with memories. I
Yeah.
know I don't remember everything. I
Right. I know. I know
thank
I
you
look
for the
young.
question, everybody.
I know I look young, but I'm getting older and I'm starting to get that can't remember shit syndrome. um Now we just answered about the flashbacks, but do you have like missing or lost time of a significant length, like an hour or more that you're like, okay, I know something happened, but I don't know what?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay. When you had your experience afterwards, did you experience anything like chronic pain or anxiety, or anything that you didn't have before the experience?
Well, there've been multi experiences. So the very first happened when I was 10, and those were beautiful, wonderful experiences. I love those. I look forward to those.
Okay.
So I went from loving this ET that visited me for 2 years
Mhm.
to being afraid of the grays with no rational explanation whatsoever, and staying afraid of the grays, continuing to have relationships with them. After having relationship with them, then starting to have relationships with other ETs too.
Right. Now you mentioned that the first one that came to saw you for the 2 years, it was an ET, it was not a gray. Do you remember what it was?
Yes, it was this conscious memory starting at the age of 10 went on for 2 years. In the middle of the night, I would find myself outside. This is when I was living in the suburbs of Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
And I would find myself outside in the middle of the night watching the spaceship come. And I would be so happy, just so excited, just thrilled. I was like, yay, 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 yay. He's coming back. And each time it would come from a different direction and it would come and it would hover over my head. And
Mhm.
I would see the bottom of it. And it was so big that it blocked the sky.
Wow.
And it would land and like these feet or these legs would come down, a door would open, stairs, and then this being would come down and he'd be checking up on me. And the being looked more human than non-human. It was wearing this dark outfit or unitard, young, like 20s or 30s, dark hair. The only thing that I noticed about him that was a little different was that his ears were just a little more oblong, but nothing like an elf or nothing like Dr. Spock. And I wasn't even into Star Trek or anything like that. That was the only difference I saw. And he was very loving. He was just making sure I was okay. So this went on for 2 years. And it was so often that I lost count. I did not tell anybody. And when I would ding, plop back into my bedroom, I would be really confused
Mhm.
because my bedroom did not feel as real as my space brother did. That felt real. This felt fake.
Right.
And for a 10-year-old, that's a lot to deal with. So I
Yeah.
would tell myself, just get dressed. It's time to go to fifth grade. Just forget about it and just try and be normal.
Mhm.
And that's what I did for most of my life, just try and be normal because I was in major denial.
Right. And when we realize that normal is weird, that's when we grow, right?
Yeah, weird. Weird is better than normal, yeah. And so that went on for 2 years, and then there was a final meeting, but this time it was different because this time I was with a group of other kids, and I
Mm,
had never been with other kids before, and I'm wondering if I'm starting to meet those kids. And, we waved goodbye, and we were very, very sad because we knew we weren't gonna see him again,
yeah.
and that's when I heard in my head, "It's time to get to work." But I was 12 then, I had no idea what that meant.
Wow. Goosebumps again. Ma'am, I'm loving this conversation. Like you are just
Aw, thank
confirmation after confirmation.
thank you. Thank you for the validation.
Yeah.
Nice.
So since you've had so many experiences, do you have dreams of UFOs or beams of light or aliens? Like I feel like they come into there for you a lot.
Yeah, they're accessible to everybody.
Right.
I call it the playground of consciousness. So when especially when you go into a meditation and you're, like, in that other, plane,
Mhm.
multi-planes, I call that the playground of consciousness. When you're there, every being that has a consciousness is on that playground with you. So you're
Yeah.
gonna bump into all kinds of beings, of all kinds of vibrations, ETs, dead people, spirit guides, anything. And so, for those of us who are meditating a lot, and for those of us who are in contact with other beings, you're going to come in contact with an ET.
Right.
You just can't help it. It's just another being. And so many of us, millions of us, are coming in contact with ETs and either think it's a dream or just think it's a fantasy and are in denial about it. Because most ET contact does happen in the multi dimensions. It's easier that way than really 3D contact.
Right.
Hard. It's easier to get to you, talk to you, connect with you through your consciousness.
Right. And they there's a lot of speculation about there was a 75-year contract with the government that the aliens weren't allowed to present themselves, and I mean, I've heard these things, right? And I sit here and I go, "Okay, so if that contract is real, then I guess they're starting to present themselves to more of us that are learning to be open about it because they know they're coming back and that they're I mean, people say coming back, I say they're here. Obviously, they're here,
Mhm.
but I feel like with more people coming out about their experiences, people are thinking that they're more prevalent and that they're more noticeable, but really they've always been here. So they're trying to have an answer for why more people didn't see them. But I'm like, we have social media, we have the news, we have everything is all over the internet now. So if someone talks about it, you can hear about it. That's why it's becoming more prevalent and more noticed within our society.
Yes, that, and also more of us are meditating. So
Yes,
it's a
yes, you're absolutely
combination.
right. I
Mhm.
love that you say that because every single person that I come in contact with and they're like, "I just can't understand. I don't know. I can't get my mind to sit still. I can't." And I'm like, "Sit down." I give them a frequency. I'm like, "Put on this megahertz or this hertz or like, here's your
Yeah,
frequency. Here's your frequency that I know you need." And
yeah,
meditate. Just listen.
right. I do understand it the it's very difficult to make your mind blank, and I say, why do you even wanna make your mind blank? When I meditate, I don't wanna go blank. I wanna
Right.
see, hear, feel, I wanna get information, I wanna go places, I wanna astral travel. And for people who would like to try meditation and try channeling, on my YouTube channel, Alien Spirit with Sev, I created these 3 videos. They're free, 3 videos to help you learn how to channel and how to connect with otherworldly beings. And so, first, I talk about your frequency, which is very important that you keep it high. And then I created these meditations that we do together with high vibe music and my voice. I guide you, and the videos have had a really good response. So for anyone who wants to give it a try, please try it through those videos and see what happens, and let me know.
Yes, I will
Everybody can
do
do
that.
it. I've been teaching channeling or connecting to otherworldly beings for about 15 years, and I haven't met a single person who can't do it.
Yeah. It's just sit down and do it.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it sounds easier
natural.
said than done, but it is very natural for us. It's just that we've learned as society that we have to be busy. We have to be on our electronics. We have to be working. We have to be
Yeah.
doing something. And we have to learn as a society that the actual norm for our bodies, for our intuitive self and our higher self is to be able to sit with self and align and go through your experience. So,
Yeah, or else how are you gonna get through life if you don't take time out to listen, intuitively to what it is that you need? And
right.
yeah, and you're constantly blocking out your source of information to guide your life.
Exactly.
And so then you think you make mistakes if there is such a thing as a mistake, or you're depressed, or you're unfulfilled, exhausted, all these things because you just refuse to listen. But it's so
Mhm.
natural to listen. It's so natural.
Yes. I love hearing someone else say it because I mean, as someone who's trying to tell people, like, listen to your guides, listen to your inner voice, align. I'm like, please, people, listen. Look, we have another one. Y'all know I bring them on here. We have another one that's telling you, listen to self, align, and listen to self.
Yeah.
um, Do you ever feel compelled to just travel or perform tasks that others would see unusual since you have all these encounters with, like, do you feel like there's like a persuasion for you to just be like, "Oh, I must do this right now." Like how you talked about as a child, you had to go outside and you'd find yourself outside. Anything else like that ever happen with you?
As far as an experience, like a ET contact?
Like after, maybe say after you've had a contact, did you just feel like compelled to go do something? Like you just something
Oh,
and you said, "I have to
oh,
go do
yes.
this now."
Yeah, it's happened. One time, for instance, I gave an interview. It was a late interview, a UFO ET interview, and I think I was done around midnight. And so I wanted to go outside on my front porch here, which is right on the water, just to get a breath of fresh air. Well, I go out there, I look over there, and there's this, and I don't go out at night on my porch to get any fresh air. I usually don't do that at night, but I did. I went out there, and then right there, right hovering over the water by my pier, is this big, gorgeous orange orb, like molten glass. And I'm like, "Oh, hi!" And then it blinks out. And then I had these octagonal shapes on my thigh. They were burned. They were burn marks,
Wow.
little white burn marks that turned into, first started out as a triangle and then with time turned into this octagonal shape on my thigh. So those kind of things are still happening.
Wow, that's incredible. We have a couple of other
Thank
questions
you.
over here. Yeah, I
Oh,
love that my
I
audience
saw
loves.
one. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off, but a little twist that says Elena Danan, I think. I think she's talking about Elena
Yep,
Danan.
that's the one I was about to pull up.
Oh, you are?
Look, we're right there. She said Elena Denon says the negative grays are off Earth. Courtney Brown says they are good and bad grays. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I had a MILAB experience and where I was in this room, and I'd been in this room twice. One was a horrible experience, and one was this neutral experience that I'm going to describe to you. And I'm sitting at this desk, and I have one of those guys sitting next to me. And I'm looking into the room across from me, and it's divided by this big glass window.
Mhm.
So they bring in a really tall gray, and this guy next to me says, "This is the original gray, the really tall one." So they take that one out and they bring in the medium sized gray. He says, "This is a hybrid of the original." Take that one out and they bring in the tiniest one. And he says, "This is the hybrid of the original." And with each one, there's a decrease in sentience. So I understood that the tiniest ones are the little robotic ones that are here to take samples of flora and fauna and skin and blood and whatever it is that they want. And so they're neutral. There's a neutrality there. If if we say they're evil, it's us projecting our fear and our evil on them. Uh, I do not believe that grays are evil. I believe if they were, I would not be as fulfilled and happy and healthy as I am. And so when people tell me you're talking to demons, I just say, well, just view my life. Am I depressed? Am I miserable?
Right.
Am I unfulfilled? Do I have a death wish? These are how the quality of your life and the way you live your life is in direct relationship to the types of relationships that you're having. So I
Right.
cannot be communicating with demons and at the same time I feel that I'm being successful in other areas of my life and be happy. So that's what I have to say about that.
I love that answer. The next one that you have here is from Mary. She says, has anyone of your family ever connected with Greys or
Oh,
anything of that sort?
thank you, Mary, Mother Trucker. Uh, yeah, that's a good question. So, my parents were very, very psychic, complete believers. They both channeled. But growing up, they taught my sister and I how to meditate when we were in elementary school. I was meditating in 5th grade. That's when my first contact started.
Hmm.
And oh my God, I just forgot the question. What
That's okay. Has
what
anyone of
was
your
it?
family ever connected
Oh, yes.
with any ETs?
So I was told by an ET that my sister and my mom and my dad have been contacted, and that my sister was afraid. And this was validated just a couple of years ago. My sister told me about a story that she had never told me about before, and that was very scary for her. And that my mother was also afraid. My father was interested and he connected and he channeled and he talked. However, the whole entire time I was growing up, my parents had any interactions with the supernatural world, it was always cloaked in the paranormal and the supernatural, spirit guides, other beings, maybe angels, whatever. It was never talked about, oh, I just talked to an ET. It never went to that level, even if that's probably what some of it was.
Right.
I was told by the ETs that I was the only one in my family that was completely open to the experience and wanted to have it and experience it and understand it out of
Wow.
my family.
It's definitely hard for people to accept, and I can understand that, that was part of it. I know we're getting kind of close to the end, and I was really hoping to get to hit on some of your intuitiveness, and you're talking about multidimensional stuff and whatever.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that maybe one day we'll get to do this again. But before I end it, the one spiritual question I want to ask you: what is a soul purpose session? And
Oh,
can you kind of walk us through it a little bit?
thank you. I've been conducting soul purpose sessions for about 15 years now with clients around the world. And these are multidimensional, interdimensional sessions where information comes about my client. I do it through Zoom or in person. Information comes about my client through their guides, through my guides, through their energy, and also just picking up information that floats around us because we live in this matrix of information. So the information that is coming to me is accessible to everybody. Everybody could do a soul purpose reading on themselves. It just takes practice. So what comes through is your purpose, why you're here, and how you can manifest it, and best career paths and how you can manifest them. Past life comes through that explains something that's going on now, and also a mental belief pattern that you have that's just keeping you from progress or just keeping you from success that you might know about or maybe not even know about. And we talk about that and how to either alleviate it or you just learn how to maneuver around it. And so I like to call the soul purpose sessions like a blueprint for happiness and fulfillment.
That's beautiful. And if
Yeah.
anybody wants to talk to Sev about that, you can contact her through her email, and it is sev at planet talk, or excuse me, planetsev.com. You can also go on her website, planetsev.com. Um, and you can read about it. You can read about her and her amazing journey that she's went through in life. I haven't even got to ask like a quarter of the questions that I wanted to ask because there's just so much about you. You're such an amazing person.
Thank you.
And I love that you're waking our collective up the way that we deserve it, right? We're doing it through compassion and love and happiness and joy. We're doing it through all the good feelings, right? We're not putting out fear and negativity and hate. And that's the way that we change this world. And I love that you're doing it. And thank you so much for what you're doing, Sev.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone who participated and your questions. I'm very grateful.
Do you have any last thoughts, comments, anything like that for our beautiful collective that's here today?
Well, I can tell by the questions that you're getting that your listeners or your watchers are pretty advanced in their understanding of our quantum nature. And
Yes.
so, really, my biggest message is don't be afraid of your quantum abilities. To focus in on them and strengthen them, because it's really going to make being an earthling a lot easier.
I love it. And I know I just gave them your email address and your website. Where else can they find you?
My YouTube channel, Alien Spirit with Sev, has videos, and also my talk show, Alien Spirit with Sev, Instagram, Facebook, all of that.
She's everywhere, guys. Go find her, connect with her. She's a beautiful person, as you've seen over the last hour.
Aw,
Um, I thank you so much for being here on No Coincidences today. And family, I'm going to give you the same advice I give every single week. Don't forget, nothing happens to you, it happens for you. And always lead with love. And have a beautiful evening. Bye now.